Really timed.
Okay, Anik.
Is this John Anik?
No,
Oh,
one day I
say,
hope to be as cool as him, though. Bubba,
Great
welcome
last
back.
name. It'll work for you.
Yeah, it's my first name. Anik Subramanian, Fight Book MMA. Bubba, welcome back.
Appreciate
After
it.
4 hard fights last year, what was the recovery process like, and how long did you take off between getting back into training camp?
I'm still recovering from the first start of PFL. But no, recovery is always an important thing. You got to have that thin line between celebration and preparation, and recovery is a massive thing that is a focus. Because the fights are so quick, back to back, every 6 to 8 weeks, you may get 8 days at the most. Even in that 8 days, you're stretching and doing some recovery, getting some chiropractic work in. But for the most part, you're back in the saddle within the next week of your last fight. I mean, a lot of times you're going into fight camp with injuries from your last fight. So, you try to get in and get out as quickly as you can, but that's part of the process. It's a tournament, and they're giving out good money to win it.
Right. It's good to see you back. One more question from me. I know there's a rivalry between you and Chris Wade. After the fight, though, do you think you'll shake hands and bury the hatchet?
No, I don't like him as a person. I can beat him as a fighter. I'm still not going to like him as a man.
Understood. Good luck this Saturday.
Gotcha.
Okay, you there? All right, we'll come back to you. Christian.
Jay Christian Gary, Focus Fights Audio. How you doing, Bubba?
I'm doing well. I like to give all the people who come to ask me questions, I like to give them a little time to settle in, get their coffee, get their little mind right. And then, then I'll sit down and we can do the damn thing. So always know when you got Batman interviews, know you got a little time.
Understood, my brother. Understood. Now, I just want to ask a couple questions, even though it's been opined that you are coming off actually, you're going to be facing off against Chris Wade. You also are coming off a loss to Bubba Lockney or Logan, whatever his last name is.
I don't think his first name's Bubba, but close enough.
Oh, well, Brendan Logan, my apologies. But still, do you have any newfound respect for him going into this season?
Absolutely. Lockney is a champion. I respect all the champions, especially a champion who's did his best on that night to best me. Nothing but respect for Brendan Lockney. He's a good person. That's first and foremost, and he's a great fighter. So I'm looking to redeem myself and get that victory, whether through him or anyone else who possibly is stopping me from trying to have the belt. So much respect to him, but I'm the bad man. I'm on another mission.
Understood, brother. And another question I would like to ask is that as a fighter of color, obviously being African American, what would be the one thing you would want to inspire, not just for Black MMA fans, but for fans regardless of creed, culture, or background when they see you fighting that smart cage?
I plan to. Well, I would like to inspire them to just be themselves, but to keep going. Everybody that you see on TV doing it at a high level are some people that simply just never quit. If I could tell my little 6-year-old, 7-year-old self something to keep me motivated, it would be just don't stop. There's tons of people fighting. There's tons of people growing. There's tons of people learning how to become. Just don't stop. Develop and process is an amazing thing. You got to fall in love with each process to becoming a person. So I would tell them, just continue the process of going in the right direction and be yourself. Don't ever let anybody change that from you.
Okay, with that being said, good luck on Saturday. Much love.
Thank you, big dog. Appreciate you.
Curtis, can you hear me?
Yes, but you are super quiet, but I heard you. How's it going, Bubba? This is Curtis Calhoun with MMA News. Good to talk to you again, man.
Appreciate you.
First question for me, what was it like having to reset and regroup after that fight against Brendan Lockney, and what were some of the takeaways you took away from that fight?
Well, I limped into my reset, of course. You know, I had a hematoma on my shin, but it's now a part of my body armor. I got a nice little shield there that is going to be doing some damage to other people. But the process wasn't a hard one. I'm super inspired. You know, even in my long tooth years, I'm still in a place where I can get up and keep going. I felt like I was preserved in the earlier part of my career. I didn't have many wars and things like that. And me coming from a wrestling background, I could usually handle what mixed martial arts brings. So to get back on the horse was nothing but inspiring, because I'm excited to be back in the position that I was in last year, but preferably to capitalize.
Remember, we talked a lot of last year about, kind of that change in mindset that you've had over time in your MMA career. When you look back at your first matchup with Chris Wade, what comes to mind? Like, what do you feel like you've improved and grown the most since that first fight?
Man, just maturity. That alone can be the difference. I've been saying there's a thin line between preparation and celebration. And when I walked into the Chris Wade fight, I had not prepared, and I was still celebrating. Not even in Bobby Moffitt, I was still celebrating the Lance Palmer fight. I beat Bobby Moffitt off of just waking up and cutting weight. And I tried the same thing with Chris Wade. I just was going through so many things in my personal life that I just was not in the right place to be in there with a fighter like Chris Wade. I respect his fight skills, and that's probably the only thing about Chris Wade that I respect. But for the most part, I was not in the right frame of mind. I knew I wasn't. If I didn't knock him out with that first flying knee where I jumped over him, I knew I was going to be in for a long night. And it was just a terrible game plan, a terrible camp, terrible mindset. I was a terrible person at the time.
Last question for me, man. Looking at Chris and the first impression that you had of Chris, what was your first impression of Chris as a man and as a fighter, and kind of where did things go wrong between you and him? Do you feel like?
My first impression of Chris Wade is he's got a pompous, arrogant look on his face, and he constantly walks around with this "I'm better than everyone" look. It's not just me making this shit up. People can look at his face and be like, yeah, he's got a little bit of arrogance to him. I mean, grandma, uncles, cousins, who is this guy you fighting? He looks a little bit, and it's not just me hating him for the actions and things that we have gone through, because I slapped him with my dick out, but it's because he's just not a good person. I've seen him lose and act like a bitch. I've seen him win and act like a bitch. So you do that when win, lose, or draw. You act like a bitch. You got to be a bitch, because if you walk like a bitch and talk like a bitch, it's got to be, what's that? A bitch.
Appreciate the time. Thank you, Bubba.
Jonathan.
Jonathan Ramacon, 5 Reasons Sports. What's going on, Bubba? Good to talk to you again, my man.
Bye, man. Things. What's good?
Bad man things, you already know. So we actually talked, just to build a little bit on Curtis's question. We talked yesterday about coming in more calm this season. How is being more calm kind of giving you a little bit of sharpness going into that fight?
I'm trying to come into the mindset of being emotionally attached, but being unbothered. We train with a high intensity. We train with this is Chris Wade. Make sure you're staying focused. And I'm trying to do my best Dewey Cooper impersonation. But he was on me this fight camp to you hate this guy, he hates you. Fight with that intensity, train with that intensity. So we really had a built-in program to up the ante when it came to Chris Wade. We worked on all the antics that he might do. We worked on all the negative situations that may come across. I might even put a piece of tape on my mouth when I face him, because there's some things that I want to say to him, but I definitely am going to focus on speaking with my hands this fight and most of these fights. But the focus is to be unbothered and unbothered by anything that he does or tries.
Now, all the great athletes, when it comes to any sport, every offseason, they go out to get better. LeBron comes back with a post-game. You came back last year with better striking than the season before. What did you add this offseason to be a better Bubba Jenkins this year?
That emotional content. I feel like I lost $1 million because I did not allow myself to calm down during the championship fight. My mind was everywhere during that groin break. When he kicked me in the groin, there was a break in the action. And during the fight, it was completely, in my mind, I was calm, cool, and collected. But once that groin strike happened, my mind started racing. My leg was burning. I was looking at the crowd. I was everywhere, and my emotions got the best of me. Plus, me and Brandon were, although decent friends. We were talking trash. He was like, "Oh, come on, Bubba, I didn't kick you." And knowing that he kicked me, I was like, "Shut your ass up." Just we were in the moment, and I allowed my emotions to take away from the game plan that we had planned. So this year is all about that control. And I like the fact that they're giving me Chris Wade, because it speaks to the understanding of, have you corrected that those emotional outbursts or not? I'm not an anxious person when it comes to wanting to fight Chris Wade. I just know that I have to be emotionless when it comes to the focus of the game plan to win.
The people's main event this Saturday. I appreciate your time, Bubba. Good luck.
I keep hearing that, the people's main event. I'm often the people something. So y'all need to start putting me on these main card faces, the posters, all that shit. If I'm the people something, let me be the people's bad man and then put me out. Damn it.
All right, Lorenzo.
Hey, Bubba, it's good to talk to you again, my man.
Yes, sir.
You've been very active past 2 years, man. You fought 3 times in 2021, 4 times 2022. You made it all the way to the championship final in November. You're no stranger to the grind. You already know what it is. You've already talked about the mental changes you've made this past offseason. Have there been any changes in your actual training or preparation heading into your 3rd PFL season? Or do you think you've already got this down to a science now that you've had all the experience with the season format?
No, I pretty much have it to a science, but we've just been training more.
Gotcha. And it's
No,
sorry.
I wasn't done. Now I lost my thought. Damn it. Next question.
It's no secret that you and Chris Wade got some history here, right? Do you let yourself think back to that first matchup with him, or has it been long enough that you're now more focused on your side of the cage and what you need to personally do to continue to improve?
I'm always focused on me, man. It's always Batman versus Batman. We've been saying that for 3 years. Every year I come out, I get better. Every year I come out, I get closer to the championship. And I believe this is the toughest year and the best year to win the championship. Me versus me. Of course, I focused on the things that I did wrong against Chris Wade, but that started before, the referee even let us, get to the center of the cage. So I'm a completely different person and fighter than I was then. And, I'm going to show Chris Wade that he did not beat anyone near close to the bad man, Bubba Jenkins, when he first got me.
Let's see if we can get your train of thought back. I think you have this PFL season format down to a science now, you were saying?
Absolutely. Yeah. We just did more training, more focusing on, the mistakes that we made in the mental game, and more focus on, sharpening up those really good strikes that I have and adding to those. It's like someone said, LeBron comes back with a post game and a fadeaway and things like that. And with the strikes that I was successful with and landed on a lot of people, we added to that. And we're looking to add waves on top of that. So we're trying to be more damaging this year than we are controlling.
And last one for me, Bubba. I thought about you the other day, actually. I lit a candle in my room. I almost set fire to the whole damn house. Last time we talked in 2022, you were telling me about your scented candles. Is that still a thing? Do we have any?
Absolutely. Y'all need to go cop those Batman candles, man. It smells like a grown, handsome man in the house. So y'all want to set the feng shui. Y'all want to get the room right. Make sure y'all go get them Batman candles. We got 3 scents and it's a beautiful thing. Chop them up.
Let's go. If we get that championship at the end of this year, we got to put that champ scent next year, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I already got the champion scent. This isn't my first time being a champion. Ain't going to be my first time dethroning a champion.
Let's go. Thanks, Bubba. Appreciate the time, my man.
Thank you.
Hey, are you out there? Hey, Kyle, Diamond.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, Bubba. Kyle from VMTV. You've already spoken about the final of last season being quite an emotional fight for you, and that's maybe where you feel like you got it wrong. How much time did it take to kind of get back on the horse and start thinking ahead instead of reminiscing about the final from last year?
I would say the moment they dropped the name Chris Wade on me, I was over thinking about Brandon Loughnane. The focus has been Chris Wade, but I would say, emotionally, I took a couple weeks off. Just, I felt like I was really, really close. I felt like I was winning the majority of the rounds when the referee stopped me. Even looking back at the stoppage, it wasn't that I was dazed or unconscious in any way. He hit me with a beautiful punch, and then as I stepped to react to it, it just, I completely on film slipped my way to my knees. And the punch did make me back up and slip, but me recovering and me being there consciously, I felt like I should have had more opportunity to continue that fight. But nonetheless, he got the best of me that night, and the focus has just been to get myself back in that position with not only a better mindset, but better conditioning, better striking, better everything. I'll be better this year.
Chris said to us earlier about how you can't look into the first fight between you guys too much because it's been such a long time since then. Do you see anything in his game that's improved throughout the last couple of years since you guys last fought?
Sure. He's improved, I guess. Batman versus Batman. I don't care about Chris Wade.
Do you feel like the boxing that we saw, particularly from you last year, is kind of the big development in your game? How far has
Absolutely.
that come on since 2021?
Really good. I'm trying to knock his ass out. I won't be doing as much wrestling as I did in the first time. The thing I think about wrestling, you can control him, but not much hurt. You can control him, you can submit his freedom, but you can't hurt him as I want to hurt him. And I'm trying to hurt Chris Wade.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
Thank you.
Patrick, you out there? Hey, are you out there?
Hey, I am here. I think we're having a real time hearing you announce the names, just a heads up. But Bubba, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. Just wanted to expand on something that Chris mentioned earlier. He said the two of you were involved in an altercation outside of the cage last season. I'm wondering if you can shed any light into that.
Yeah, I was weighing in, butt ass naked. I went to grab my drawers while I was bent over. He came to ask me questions. And as a man with ass in the air, you just don't ask another man a question. So I turned around and I slapped him, and I realized that I was about to bully him, but he had the look on his face that said he didn't want smoke. But my drawers were already down, so I felt vulnerable. So that's why I slapped him while he was getting prepared for Lance Palmer. I was getting ready for Kyle Boshiak, and he came out the bathroom while I was on the scale, butt ass naked, trying to talk to me. And that, you just don't do that. I don't care who you are. I'm not about to answer a question with my ass in the air. So I slapped him. I just thought it was a bitch move that he did. So I gave him a bitch slap.
Appreciate you clarifying that. And when it comes to your last two losses, and really your only two losses in the PFL, they've come to Chris Wade, who's been to the finals, and they've come to Brendan Loughnane in the finals. How much does that tell you about where you are and what you need to do to make that final step?
I've been to the finals. I smelt the victory. I just need to keep being me and improving in the places that I feel that me and Dewey are working on. It has nothing to do with Loughnane. It has nothing to do with Wade. It has everything to do with my mentality and who I am in the cage.
All right. Well, looking forward to the fight this weekend. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the appreciate it.
All right.